Hello and welcome to the 11th episode of The Prop House. In this episode, we're going to be making a lightsaber stand for your collectible lightsabers. So, let's get started. So this is meant to be a simple wooden stand for your collectible lightsabers. This one I'm trying to display is from the Disney parks. I really like it a lot, and I've never liked having it on my shelf because it doesn't like to stay still, even though it has this horn on it, which you would think would keep it from rolling. It's rolled off the shelf before, but I managed to catch it, and I don't want to have to do that again, so that's kind of what fueled this idea. So I started off by grabbing 2 pieces of scrap wood. Now, I try to save all the wood I use for the most part, unless it's really small and unusable, and I try to reuse and use my leftover wood as much as possible for projects kind of like this, because you never know when you're going to need scrap wood, so I like keeping it around. So then I grabbed out a ruler and I started marking up the sides of my stand. Now, I didn't really measure anything, I just kind of eyeballed it all. But what I did was I made kind of like a triangle, but with no point, if that makes any sense, on the top. So I guess it's not really a triangle anymore, but I'm not sure what you'd call that shape. But I made that, and then I cut it out, and then I used the one I cut out as the template for the other one, so that way they were as close to each other as possible. And now that I had 2, I used a clamp to hold them together, and then I used my random orbiter sander on all these sides, not only to get them smooth, but to also try to make these as uniformed as possible. So then I clamped one of them to the side of my table, so I could use a jigsaw to cut a V into the top of it. And then I stacked the one that was already cut on top of the one that wasn't cut, clamped those down together, and used the top one as a guide for the bottom one to, again, get them as uniformed as possible. So next I grabbed a ruler, and I used that ruler to measure where I wanted my stand to sit on the lightsaber, or I wanted my lightsaber to stand on the stand. And then I grabbed the leftover dowel rod from my Thor build, marked that distance, and then I cut it. And then I used some clippers to clean up the ends, and then I used the sander to get them as flat as possible. So now it was to attach the rod to the sides. So all I did is I put 2 small nails on each side, so that way the rod couldn't spin. And it feels pretty sturdy so far, but we'll see how it goes. So now it was time to do some painting, and I started with that gray primer I've been using on everything. Just doing a nice coat with it, because this wood does seem to suck up paint a little bit, and you want to get a nice coat in, let that get soaked up, and then put the detail stuff on after the fact. That way less of the detail gets soaked in. So for details, the side of this kind of looked like a droid to me, so I kind of wanted to do a bit of that design, kind of like, if you ever look at the walls in a Star Wars movie, anytime they're on a ship, they're very metal, but they have lots of boxes and buttons and stuff. So I ended up doing a box, and then a rectangle going upwards, going vertical, and then 3 to 4 red dots. And I kind of liked it. I'm not super pleased with how it came out. I like the boxes. I don't like the red dots, basically. But I start off by masking taping, and then I painted, pulled the masking tape off, and then I just used the bottom or the top of a brush to do the red dots. I didn't actually use the brush part. Something that can be very helpful when you need to get really fine details like dots. You can just use the top of the brush. And now it's time for some glamour shots. Well, I'm super happy with how this came out. It's really neat. It was a fun day project, something you could get done really quickly if you wanted to. It solves a problem where I didn't feel like it was very secure on the shelf, and it will make it look a bit nicer. I know this is a shorter episode. Some things came up, so I wasn't able to finish the episode that was supposed to come in today. But next week will be a longer episode. I'm hoping to hit 15 minutes on it. And then in the future, I'm going to have a little bit of a mini series that we're going to do. Just a short, quick series, but it's going to be a multi-part type dealio. I think that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.